Everybody. Happy Sunday. We are live. Happy Daylight Savings Sunday. Hopefully everyone remembered to set their clocks back and enjoyed that extra hour of sleep. I know I did this morning. It also makes it feel really late right now. It's super dark out, which usually there's a little bit of sunlight behind me. So that's a little bit different tonight. But I'm excited to be here to talk about applicant portals. Really important topic tonight. Now that November 1st is behind us, thankfully, we do have still some more work to do. So for all of you who have seniors who submitted applications, congratulations. But now, unfortunately, there's still a few more steps that they have to follow. So thanks for hopping on tonight and joining me. Again, my name is Gina. If you are new to these videos, I am Gina. I'm with Advantage College Planning. I like to come on and share some information with everybody just to help make this college process a little bit smoother and reduce that stress level for everyone. Tonight, our topic is applicant portals. So for those of you who have recently submitted applications, this will be super timely and important for you. So I'm excited to see people coming in. Welcome. If you can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, smiley face. Definitely also go ahead and put in the chat where you're tuning in from or what year your students are. It's always really helpful for me to know where everybody's coming in from. It's also helpful to know what year your students are. So the topic tonight is going to be on applicant portals and the next steps that students have to complete once they submit their application. So the information tonight will be really helpful for those current seniors who've been submitting applications or still have some to submit. If you have younger students, this will be really helpful information for you to know as you get ready to go into the application season with them next year or in the coming years. So welcome, happy Sunday. Again, my name is Gina. If you can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up and let me know where you're tuning in from. As we go along, I will definitely answer some questions that are popping up in the chat. I'll also have some time at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those there in the chat. Awesome. Great. All right. Oh, great. We've got lots of local people. Happy Sunday. Thanks, Sadie. Happy Sunday to you. Hopefully everybody's been having a good week and getting ready for this week ahead. Here in Wake County, it'll be a short week, lots of days off. So all my Cary and Raleigh folks, hopefully you're planning for a short week this week. So as I mentioned at the beginning, tonight we're going to be talking about application portals. So this is a really, thanks Sadie, you can hear me, awesome. So I always appreciate that. I always get nervous, so I'm glad the sound is working. So tonight we're talking about application portals. The application portal is something that's really important for students after they submit their college applications. So let's just start out by recognizing the fact that we made it through November 1st. In the admissions world, that is a huge milestone. November 1st is a really, really common deadline for students who are submitting college applications with either early action or early decision deadlines. So for a lot of the students that we work with at Advantage College Planning and students all across the country, that's a big date. They're working so hard the fall of senior year to get a lot of applications in by that date. There will be more application deadlines that are coming. There's another one that comes up on November 15th for a lot of schools, and then December 1st, December 15th. They tend to be about every 2 weeks. Once we get into January and February, that's when students will be getting into those regular decision deadlines. But making it through November 1st is huge. So congratulations to all of us for making it through that day. A lot of things, if you have students who are getting ready to go through this college application process, if you went to college yourself here in the US, you're probably starting to notice that a lot of things have changed with the college application process. It's a different process than what a lot of us went through when we were doing our applications back in the 80s and 90s. So one of the biggest changes is that after students submit their applications, it's no longer just a sigh of relief once you send those applications off into the world. I know back in the 90s when I submitted my applications, I packaged them all up in the mail, put on the stamp, sent them off, crossed my fingers, but breathed a big sigh of relief because really my work was done. Now, That's one of the things that's very different. So now that students have submitted their applications, they can breathe a little sigh of relief, but they do still have a lot more work to do. And if they don't follow up on these next steps that we're going to talk about, unfortunately, a lot of their hard work to hit that November 1st early action deadline will be lost. And we don't want that to happen. So let's talk about how to avoid that. So what is an applicant portal? So an applicant portal is an online account that each college or university that your student applied to is going to send them to set up. And so through this applicant portal, that's where your student is going to be able to track their application status. That's where they're going to be able to see literally if items are checked off or if they have a red X saying we haven't received this yet, making sure all their documents are in. And often, this is where students are seeing their admissions decisions. So this is a really important next step for students to set up. Some schools will just call it the applicant portal. Some schools have kind of fun names that go along with their college, but it's essentially all the same thing. It is a portal, it is an account that the student has to set up with each individual college. So one thing that sometimes students get confused by is they think that the portal is their common application. Two totally different things. It's a lot to keep track of, but the common application or common app is the platform that students are using to submit their applications. Once that application is submitted to the college, they're done with the common application as far as that specific college is concerned. Now we're done. That work has been completed. Now everything moving forward is going to be coming and being communicated to the student through the individual portal from that university. So let's talk about how to set up these portals. One big problem that we run into with the application portals, but my students and lots of high school students, is that students don't check their email. Right? High school students often don't check their email. It's not something that they have to do often. They're used to getting a lot of spam. A lot of them have email accounts with thousands of unread messages. It's just not a part of their everyday life like it is for me and for many of you. And unfortunately, through email is the way that colleges are communicating with the students. So we've got a little bit of a disconnect, and that's really where the adults in their lives, their college consultant, if you're working with Advantage College Planning, we are on this. But as parents, if you're looking for ways to help, this is a significant way that you can help your student with this process. Sit down with them it's going to vary by school. Some schools will send out an email with information for how the student can access their application portal within 24 hours of the application being submitted. For some schools, it could take up to a week. So it really just depends on the individual college's process, how quickly they're processing all of the information, how many applications they're receiving, et cetera, et cetera. So big picture is somewhere between 24 hours and a week after your student submits their application to each individual college will then send your student an email to the email address that is linked to their common application account. This is also sometimes a source of challenge because students might have multiple email accounts. They might have one that they use for school and then a personal email or even multiple personal emails. So they have to be checking the one that is linked to their common app account. The email that they're going to get from the college will say something to the effect of, so-and-so, we are so excited to see that you've submitted your application to our university. Your important next step is to set up your applicant portal. Your username is X. It is usually the email address that's associated with the Common App. Here is a temporary PIN or a temporary password, and then here's the link that you need to click on to set all of this up. So the student has to follow those steps. They have to get the PIN, they have to click on the link, put in their username, put in the PIN, sometimes also their birthday. That'll bring them to a next page. On the next page, they're then going to make up their own password, whatever they want their actual password to be. And then they'll use that password after it's been set to log into the applicant portal. Once they're in the portal, that's where they're going to be able to see all of the requirements for that university and if they have been received or not by the university. So that's the first step, is they have to get this email and they have to click the link and they have to use the temporary PIN, etc. Another snag in addition to sometimes we don't remember which email account we used, is that if your student is using a high school, the email account that's from their high school, we run into this a lot with students who are using their public school email addresses in North Carolina. A lot of times, because the email is being sent from a big system at the university and not from an individual admissions counselor, the school email or even sometimes Gmail will see that message as spam, promotions, social, right? If you have Gmail, it ends up getting filtered into some other folder that is not the inbox, or it gets blocked completely. So then the student doesn't look, and they don't go on a hunt to try to find this email because they didn't know that they were supposed to do this. And then they never get the email, and then they never set up the account. And if they don't ever set up the account, we'll talk about what happens with that. So within 24 hours to a week of your student submitting their application, they should be receiving these emails. If within a week of submitting an application to a school, if they do not have a portal email and you have checked the spam, you have checked to see if it's gone to junk, I would recommend the student reaching out to the admissions office at that school and asking them to resend the message, or see if there's any way to get logged in, because something might have gotten mislabeled within their email. So especially with the school accounts, that's something to look out for. So watch for the email, set it up. The next step after you get the portal set up is you want to save the link that you need to access that portal. Oftentimes now our computers will save our usernames and passwords, which is helpful if that's a feature that you use on your computer. But the time that it takes for a student to go through their thousands of emails and find the right link again when they want to check their portal again from the 10 different schools that they've applied to, if they didn't save the link somewhere, can be maddening. Okay, I am speaking from personal experience. So please figure out a way, whatever works best for you and your student. Once you set up these portals, bookmark the pages or have a Google document and keep it a live Google Doc with the links to the portals, something. It's going to make your life so much less stressful. So save those links once you get them set up. So let's talk about why these portals are so important. So as I said, this is where you're going to see, if your documents are received, your admissions decisions, things like that. Doing the next step of setting up the portal and setting it up quickly is crucial, because at some colleges, all of the students' documents, their transcript, their letters of recommendation, something called the self-reported academic record, the SRAR, which is something that some schools use instead of the student's transcript, need to be received by a specific deadline. And if those documents are not received by that specific deadline, then the student's application won't be complete for early action. And so then the student's application will get rolled over into regular decision. So then your student won't get a decision from the college in December or January when they were expecting. And if your student never submits those documents or those last steps, then your student will never get a decision from the college because their application will be withdrawn as incomplete. So it's really important that you set these portals up and you set them up quickly so that all of the information can be submitted in a timely manner. One important piece to think about, again, with these deadlines is that there are some schools that, let's say the application deadline is November 15th. And then the school also requires that the students complete something called the self-reported academic record, or the SRAR, which requires the student to go into another portal and transcribe their entire transcript from their high school, the paper document they got, into the SRAR. You have to copy over all the grades, all the courses, how many credits did you earn? You have to import all of that into this other third-party program. But you can't access the SRAR for that university until you've done your portal. And remember, a few moments ago, I told you that sometimes it can take up to a week for you to get a link to set up that portal. So if the application deadline is November 15th And that SRAR also has to be submitted by November 15th. And your student submits their application on November 15th. It's highly possible that they will not be able to complete their SRAR in time for early action review. There are not a significant number of schools that have this tight of a deadline. Usually there's a 1 to 2 week window for materials, but there are schools like that. So when we're thinking about submitting applications and setting up portals, because this is such an important next step, this is why I encourage all of my students to submit their applications well ahead of the deadline, so that ideally you're setting up your portal before or by the application deadline. That's going to give you some wiggle room in case there was something else that needed to be submitted. So that's just a really important thing to keep in mind with timing. Now, I don't want anyone down to walk away from this feeling alarmed and start calling your school counselors and stressing out your school counselors if transcripts haven't been received, because what's going to happen is now your student is going to log into their portal and they might see my application has been received, my test scores have been received, but my high school transcript hasn't been received. It's not checked off. And then the student goes up, has to call their school counselor and find out what's going on. It is really important to keep in mind that this is a human process. So there is a human process still involved in linking the students' credentials that have been submitted to their portals. So what will happen is there's a whole operations office that works with the admissions counselors. They're the behind the scenes heroes this time of year on college campuses, because these are the people who are literally processing tens of thousands of documents that are coming in and matching them up to student accounts. So when a document comes through, a test score or a transcript, it gets matched to the student's account. And then someone has to go in and check off in that student's account that that specific item has been received. So right around November 1st, that this big window when colleges are getting tens of thousands of documents, it is possible that it could take a few days for a transcript that your school counselor did send to actually get marked off in the portal. So we want to follow up if it seems like, it's been a few days, it's still not getting marked off. You can always call the admissions office and see if it's been received. You can always check in with your school counselor and make sure it's been submitted. But it's really important to remember that there is a human process. There is going to be a little bit of a delay in some things getting matched up to the portal. So if right away you don't see something checked off, don't panic. Give it a couple days. But if it's still not there, then make sure that you're following up. So I just know that this time of year, there's always a lot of panicked calls to school counselors, and the school counselors are saying, we submitted everything. And so it just, give them a minute. It's likely the document is there, but again, follow up in a few days if you still don't see it. Another thing that's really important to keep in mind with these application portals are additional opportunities. So some colleges, after the student submits their application, they get this portal. The college in their application portal will give a link to the student to apply to some additional scholarship opportunities, to an honors program that the college might have. If the student doesn't go into the portal and click on those links, then they're missing out on that opportunity. These types of opportunities will have another deadline, so more deadlines to manage, but you won't know about the deadlines if you're not going in the portals and looking for these opportunities. It's a little bit of an Easter egg hunt. I mean that in the nicest way possible, but it's a little bit of an Easter egg hunt. You don't know what's in the portal until you go in and look at it. So it's one thing to make sure that all your documents have been received and you see everything checked off. Wonderful. But I encourage my students to be curious and click around, look to see what else is in the portal so that they're not missing out on any scholarship or honors programs that they might actually be interested in applying to. One word of advice when it comes to application portals and admissions decisions. So this is another thing that I always like to tell my families. Again, if you attended college in the US, you probably remember, like I do, coming home from school and getting either the big rectangle, the envelope, or the little small envelope, right? That's the big thing. You got the big envelope if you were getting admitted, you get the small envelope if you were not getting admitted. But we didn't know what that decision was until we got home, right? Because like we didn't have cell phones and everything was at the house. And so even if your parents got the package and they kind of knew before you got home, like they had no way to tell you, right? So when we got all of our admissions decisions in the 80s and 90s, we were home for the most part. Now, because everything is popping up in these application portals, students will be at Target and they'll get a text that says such and such school has released decisions, check your email or check your portal for updates. They might be at Target. They might be at basketball practice. They might be at work, right? They might be driving. They might be with a group of friends who also have applied to the same school. And so just, maybe come up with a plan as a family. Just talk about it. Like, how do you want to get your decisions? Do you as a student want to open them as soon as they come through? Do we want to have a plan that like we'll open them together as a family? Does the student want to open it by themselves in their room so that they can feel their feelings in private and then deal with other people when they're ready? It's just something to think about, because I've definitely had students who've gotten really exciting news when they've been at work and they can't hoot and holler and cry and feel all the big feelings because they're at work, or they're with a friend who also applied to that school and that friend didn't get in, right? One friend didn't get in, then the other friend did, and now everybody's feeling their feelings and it's awkward, right? And I've had students who've gotten less than exciting news, right? Maybe they were deferred or maybe they were denied. And again, they're in the checkout line at Target and they're feeling their feelings, in Target. So just something to think about. It's just a totally different landscape than when we were going through the process. And so just thinking about, how do you want to get that decision? Where do you want to be? What's going to be best for your student? What kind of situation is going to set them up for success? So the bottom line is your applications are submitted. Yay, super exciting, but your work is not done. So if you submit your applications ahead of deadlines, that's going to give you the best, most smooth process for submitting any extra documents that the college might need by a deadline. But the bottom line is set up your portals. Set up your portals, bookmark the pages, and check them regularly just to make sure that you are good to go. You're taking advantage of all the opportunities you want to take advantage of, and they have everything that they need to give you a decision. Hopefully that will be a good one. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about portals. In the meantime, I will be back, just to let you know, I'll be back on November 19th. I'll be switching gears a little bit from seniors. Well, I guess this kind of factors with seniors, thinking more about juniors getting ready to build their college list, thinking about the 3 fit factors to consider. But this could also be good for seniors if seniors hadn't really started focusing on building a college list intentionally. They're kind of applying everywhere. Now we can start to think more about, okay, well, what are the key factors that are going to help you decide if which of the schools that you're admitted to will be a good fit. So fit factors will be coming up on November 19th here at 8 o'clock. We also have lots of resources on our website, adbcp.com, our podcast, our blog, videos, so many great resources over there. If you are already working with us, you're already getting all that information from us. But if you'd like to know more about working with us, you also can submit a consultation request through our website as well. Great. All right. So if there aren't any questions, then great. That means that you all feel very empowered to go and set up these portals and just make sure that everything is squared away for your students to get their decisions in sometime. Well, it could be starting as early as the end of this month, mostly through the end of January for this first wave. So good luck to all of you. I hope your decisions come back as positively as they can and your portal journey is smooth. And I will see you back here on the 19th. Thanks so much. Bye.